So the video for today, this is a little bit different than anything I would normally do. But for today's video, I just want to say thank you to Brandy Cruz for her words of wisdom on this topic. I'm going to go ahead and play her entire video for you to see. And I just wanted to do this as a thank you to her for saying this. What she's doing is she's breaking down an incentive program and some things that the mayor of Seattle is trying to do to attract officers. And the problem that they're having in Seattle is not necessarily unique to Seattle. You can transpose this problem in almost every major democratically run city in the United States. People might get upset at me for putting that political statement in there, but it's undeniably true. And you can't be honest about this conversation without mentioning that. Cities like Chicago, New York, Detroit, Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Portland, Austin. The words that she has are words that the mayors of every single one of those cities needs to hear. I don't know. She's better at talking than I am. And as I've mentioned before, she's better looking than me as well. So I want to leave this and with Brandy Cruz. This is in her hands now. I'm going to get out of the way. I just wanted to say thank you, Brandy Cruz, for the wise words. And I want to encourage everybody to go follow her because she's better at doing this than I am. She doesn't always cover police and crime, but when she does, she's spot on. So go give Brandy Cruz a follow. Go to her YouTube channel. Tell her that I sent you. That would be really cool. I will link this video down below so that you can go and give her a visit. Please do. Again, thank you, Brandy Cruz, for your words on this topic. You're dead on, and I can't say it better myself, so I'm going to steal from you. I hope you approve of my video. Thank you. I'm out of here.
Let me repeat that for politicians who don't understand that. There is no incentive that you can offer a police officer that is more important than their life. Seattle is in a challenging place when it comes to public safety. The city has lost around 450 officers since 2019. A lot of them in 2020 during all the height of unrest. We had the Chaz Chop situation. There was this renewed debate around policing in this country. The force is now down to 950 deployable officers. To put that in perspective, that is the lowest level since 1991. The lowest level since 1991. So the city's new mayor, Bruce Harrell, who has said that he's supportive of growing the size of the police force, despite, city council members who, pledged to defund, and some of them have been slower to come away from that pledge. So Mayor Bruce Harrell is unveiling this plan that he believes will help them hire 500 new officers in the next 5 years.
Many of these officers are working double shifts. They are being disrespected, and they are dealing with issues even in their own lives on their day-to-day jobs that I'm concerned with as mayor. When I talk about One Seattle, that's what we talk about, looking at the whole ecosystem of public safety, talking to the officers themselves, and having the right funding strategy. And I think that's what this plan presents. Financial incentives are critical. That's why this plan offers incentives up to $30,000 for lateral transfers and $7,500 for new recruits.
So look, some of these things are no-brainers, right? When you talk about hiring bonuses for new recruits and for lateral transfers from other agencies, you have other agencies who are offering bonuses. And so you have to get to a level where you can compete with that. And then focusing on retaining the officers you already have and trying to make it more advantageous for them in terms of pay and vacation, et cetera, for them to stay. I mean, these things are no-brainers. Now, whether the police department can achieve hiring 500 new officers in in 5 years, I think is really up in the air. I don't know if that's a realistic goal because you're losing officers at a rate that's much faster and much higher than you're able to replenish them. For instance, the interim police chief, Adrian Diaz, just gave an example. So far, since the beginning of 2022, 109 officers have separated from the Seattle Police Department, and they've only managed to hire 35. So when if you hire 35 officers, great, but when you're losing 109 over the same period of time, that puts you in a situation that's really not manageable. But I think we're missing the bigger picture here. The bigger picture isn't about just one city. Yes, Seattle has become this sort of poster child for a city that has not treated its police officers very well, across the country. And I think if you're a police officer anywhere else in the country, why would you come to Seattle? I just don't know who would be jumping at an opportunity to come here, bonuses or incentives aside. That's going to be very, very difficult just because Seattle has this terrible reputation among law enforcement. But the bigger picture here is that you don't have to just convince an officer to come work for your agency. You have to convince that officer that this is a good place to come and live for their family, for their significant others, for their kids. So it's not just about a city. It's about the political environment that this state has fostered. We have a very anti-police sentiment at the highest levels of government in Washington state. You have a governor in Jay Inslee who has been explicitly told on multiple occasions that he is not welcome at the funerals of fallen police officers. You have Democrats in the state legislature who have passed bills that not only make it more difficult for police to do their jobs, but more dangerous for police to do their jobs, making it almost impossible for police to pursue suspects, limiting the type of force that police officers can use and when they can use that force. So if you're the family of a police officer who thinks, well, Seattle's offering some really good incentives, does that balance things out? There is no incentive you can offer a police officer that is worth their life. Let me repeat that for politicians who don't understand that. There is no incentive that you can offer a police officer that is more important than their life. And in the same vein, there's no incentive, no financial, monetary incentive you can offer a police officer that officer's family would prioritize above their safety. So Seattle can have this, what I think is a slow change of heart in leadership, and you can offer all these things at a city level to try to get officers to come here. But the truth is that we continue to live in a state that is not welcoming and not appreciative of law enforcement. When you have Democrats who are making laws that, again, make it more dangerous for police to do their jobs, when you have a governor who still has not spoken out about the public safety crisis that we're in. This is a governor who said during the Chaz Chop debacle, when 6 square blocks in the city of Seattle were taken over by rioters, that he didn't know anything about it, that he hadn't heard of it. Of course, he changed his tune and said, oh, yeah, I knew all about it, a couple of months later when he was running to keep his job. And so it's not about just getting police officers to come to Seattle for some monetary incentives. It is about making Seattle, making the surrounding areas, making the state a place that is welcoming and appreciative when it comes to the really difficult jobs that police officers do every single day, and convincing their families that, yes, this is going to be a supportive community, not only for your loved one who puts on the uniform, but for you as well. And I've always said that I am always going to support good officers. There's, of course, a limit to that support. I mean, you look at Uvalde, Texas. We should all have limits to, under the circumstances that we're willing to support people who put on the uniform and protect and serve. We're not talking about supporting bad cops. We're not talking about supporting rogue cops. But where we're at right now is not an environment that is conducive to having good officers come here and want to protect and serve. It's just not. So again, I admire Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell for trying to change course on this, trying to bring more officers in the door. I think it's going to be a very difficult job, 500 officers in 5 years. I mean, that sounds nearly impossible to me. especially without a greater shift in the state. So I really hope that leaders at all levels will look at what's happening in Seattle and realize that even if they're a politician who doesn't represent Seattle directly, they do have a direct responsibility to help change the climate around policing.